How do you know if your film found the intended audience, or maybe there is no intended audience?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just whoever likes the story. I mean, Broken Ceiling has a female protagonist. It's about a contentious workplace. It's male-driven, different things that this person's fighting against. Did you have a specific audience, or anybody? You wanted just anybody who was interested in a good story to find it?
We did have a specific audience. I don't think that people who are really into sci-fi or horror would necessarily like it. I needed to find the people that were into dramas, people who, worked office jobs, day jobs, women of color specifically, because it's about a woman of color in a primarily white, male-dominated workspace. Those were really, the people, the true core audience for that. And when we started seeing the sort of like engagement demographics on Instagram, that's what we found. It was interesting though, because it was a sort of male-female split, like 52% female, but very split between males and females. So it was great that a female empowerment story really had, legs with male eyes who were interested in that.
And you wrote it as well, correct?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
What prompted you to write it, especially from a female perspective?
Sure. The reason that I needed to tell the Broken Ceiling story is because I started writing it just based on sort of my general frustrations with how the world was working, and of course the fact that I had not made a feature yet. So I was very, just in general, frustrated. And the story is born of that frustration, and you can see that sort of frustration in all the characters. All the characters are sort of doing something that maybe they wouldn't want to do, or forced into these roles that maybe are not the best for them. So I started writing this a little bit from my own perspective. And then, there was a lot of social stuff that was going on at the time. The Ferguson, shooting, that happened, everything came out of that. And it really sort of hit me, It made me sort of open my eyes and go, you know what, like, I am, a white male, and perhaps there are things that I didn't realize, about ways that I've been helped out unknowingly, just being a white male, what benefits have I had that maybe I wasn't aware of? And I realized that I didn't want to tell that story because I wanted to give a voice to, a character who maybe didn't have a voice. So that's why I decided, I completely revised what I was going for. And I decided that I would do something that, at the time, I was sort of afraid to do, because, with how society was and still is, it was sort of like, how dare I, as a white male, write, from a perspective of a black female and a black female story. And that was something that people were like, I feel uncomfortable with that, like, because you don't know that experience. And truly, I did not know that experience at all, Who was I to write, a story about a black female who had a hard time moving up, breaking the glass ceiling in a corporate environment. But what I did was research. I was like, I need to tell this story and I need to know, So I did a lot of online research. I read a lot of stories about, black women in the workplace, women growing up, talked to people, really did as much research as I could do. And I wrote it, sort of on a wing and a prayer. And I thought that it turned out pretty well. And then when we were getting into casting, I was meeting with the woman who would eventually become Angela, Karen Kendrick. And I remember the first meeting that we had. She had read the script, and I was kind of terrified to meet her because I'm like, what are you going to think of this story? And I will forever remember what she said, but she goes, it's like you told my story, my personal story. And that was the highest compliment that I could get, because all the research, all the hours put in, like, it paid off. It was authentic, which is super important, and it spoke to her, which was the most important thing. And yeah, she signed on, and she was fantastic and amazing to work with. And I learned even more, you know, through working with her. You know, it was a wonderful working relationship, and she's gone on to do amazing things and will very, very soon be an enormous, enormous star, because she is so talented. So the fact that she wanted to work on this tiny project and felt connected to it was great. And I'm just super grateful that I was able to get her and the rest of the cast, because yeah, I was very blessed with the performances and the actors. And that's something that, you know, people definitely call out when they review it. They love Karen, they love the other actors. You know, it's exciting to see them, you know, get that recognition, which they definitely deserve.
Did people actually tell you don't tell this story? Like you don't have the right because you don't authentically know it? Or don't go there, man, like just let it be? Like what did they say?
It was all about how they felt uncomfortable that a white man was telling a black woman's story, you know? And I totally get that. I understand it, because I did not know, I didn't grow up with that, you know? But the thing that I truly believe about writers and directors is that they are able to inhabit different points of view and different characters. Like, you have to be able to write characters who are different from you. You have to empathize with them. You have to do the research. You have to learn about that. Like, and I think that writers are fully equipped to be able to, you know, write from somebody else's perspective, you know? And I think we should, you know? I think that anybody should be able to write anything, provided that they do the research and they do it authentically. That is 100% the most important thing. Like, you have to immerse yourself, you have to do the research, and you have to make sure that it is true. Otherwise, you shouldn't do it. And maybe that's what they were afraid of, that I was just going to assume or imagine what it would have been like to be a black woman in, you know, a white male-dominated industry. But I didn't. I did the work because I had to make it true. And I hope that comes out.
And then were there people that said, thank you for doing this? I know this is not where you live, so to speak, in headspace, but yeah, thank you for trying to tell someone else's story that needs to be told?
Yeah, I mean, in the reviews, like, honestly, the best reviews that I got were women of color, you know, and people of color reviewing it and going, this is truthful. This strikes a chord. The fact that it connected with them is the highest compliment, the highest praise that I can get.
And when you said you got some reviews that weren't favorable, was it of that nature or was it other things?
It was actually other things.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
All of the criticisms were directed at me, you know,
Okay.
in terms of, like, you know, maybe the story could have used this. Like, a lot of it was a little bit story-based about, like, well, you know, because it is so hard to try to tell, you know, a story in one location. It is so hard. And I don't know if I hit it out of the park. I think I did a decent job. But trying to, you know, wring 90 minutes out of one location is so hard. So I did my best, but I've been knocked a little bit for that. But praised for the directing, which I appreciate. And the thing that I appreciate about those reviews is that it makes me go, oh, great, there's something that I can work on. There's something that I may be lacking that I need to be better at. And that I found is, like, just classic dramatic narrative structure, like the art of dramatic writing. That's what I've been doing, you know, for the past 6 months or to a year, is just really nailing that aspect, you know, because I can do visuals, I can work with actors, I can do this, I can do that. But, like, really getting those fundamental tenets of storytelling is very important, at least for me. And without those reviews that were negative, you know, how do you learn, you know? Because I wouldn't have. If everybody would have gone, oh, this is great, keep it up, don't change, you don't learn anything from that. And I want to keep getting better. So the fact that there were criticisms leveled at me, it's like, thank you. Now I can make the next one even better because I don't want to be treading water. Like, I need the next one to be better. And the latest short I did, I can say with certainty that it is better than the feature that I did, you know? And the feature I still think is very good, but the fact that I can do a new project and for myself know that there's a benchmark of getting better, that's, you know, that's of paramount importance to me.